Okay, so hi, Oana. Thank you so much for joining me on the Founders Predicament podcast.
Thanks
It's a
for
real
inviting me.
pleasure. Sorry,
Thanks for inviting me.
sure. It's a real pleasure to have you. You're currently in Romania, right?
Yes.
Which city are
Spending
you
the,
in?
I'm in Cluj. It's right
Cluj.
in the center of Transylvania, where all the vampires are.
Excellent, excellent. So you've got a startup called Dahlia's Book. So before you tell me about Dahlia's book, can you talk about what I mean? And you started that a while back, right? You started that when did you start Dahlia's book?
Uh, Officially, it was 2015, but I started working on it mid 2014. So it's almost 10 years, like 8 years and a half.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So so before you started Dahlia's book, and also since you started Dahlia's book, because I know you do that on the kind of on the side, you make money working as a programmer, right? So tell me a little bit about what you did before you started Dahlia's book and what you're doing now.
So I've always been passionate about computers. Actually started coding when I was 14 or 15 years old. And I liked it. I liked it very much to just tell machines what to do. So I started my career as a regular software engineer. I graduated and I have a master's degree also in computer science, and started working at a small startup on a financial product. Then they were purchased by a larger company. We built a product in partnership with Microsoft, and that company was acquired by Ernst and Young. Then I switched to a bigger company where I got to work on enterprise software and transitioned to more of a management career. And I worked there for about 6 years. And in the last 2 years of working there, I also founded Dahlia's book as a side project initially because I wanted to get more kids into coding. But the vision that I had back then, the idea was very, very different. So because of Dahlia's book, I actually quit my like corporate job and went into gaming and spent about a year working for a gaming studio because the idea back then was to create educational games for kids. And I figured out that I didn't know anything about how to create games. So I should work for a company that does that. It was very different and very intense. And after that year, I went into freelancing and became a digital nomad, started traveling around the world. And I've been freelancing ever since, lived in various countries, lived in Tokyo for a bit. And then a year and a half ago, I moved to New York and started an MBA at NYU. And now here I am.
So you're at the Stern Business School, are you?
I graduated this
Oh,
May.
oh, you got. Oh, congratulations! Right.
Thank you.
Well, so you graduated pretty quickly, right? Didn't most people spend 2 years, or was it two
That's
years?
true. No, it was only 1 year. So this was a 1 year accelerated MBA program. It's a focused technology MBA and starts in May. You have a very intense summer schedule with classes from 9 to 5. So that was not a very exciting way to spend the summer in New York. And yeah, it ends in 1 year. So everything that regularly other students do in 2 years, we did in one.
Wow, that's impressive. Okay, let me get to my next question. So, what problem are you solving with Dahlia's book? What led you? What inspired you to do that? To do this work?
So I was always attracted to doing something that helps other people and like helps other people at a larger scale. And I always wanted to have an impact. And at some point, I kind of figured out that if I'm not a doctor, to just go in developing countries and treat like kids or people who don't have something to eat. I always had that idea that you can't have an impact. And when I started Dahlia's book, it was about 10 years ago. I had a surgery and I was on medical leave after surgery for about 3 weeks at home. I had to stay like bed rest and didn't do anything. And then that's where you kind of have these ideas like, oh, what am I doing with my life? I would like to have or to do something where I have more of an impact. And then I started researching what I can do. And I realized that with my skills, like my technology skills, there are a lot of things that I can do. And if I would have been a doctor, then I would have saved people's lives. But with my tech skills, I can actually give them an education that to help them have jobs. And this is how it started. I was also a bit frustrated about the situation in my country back then, and I realized that all things that happen, like politically, economically, the root cause is lack of education for the Romanian population, most of it. And I just was trying to think of ways to keep kids in school because Romania has one of the largest dropout rates in the European Union.
So that's the problem. That's the problem you're solving is the dropout rate.
So this is how it started. I've pivoted a few times along the way, and the approach that actually works right now is to get kids into technology and coding education because the public school system is very much left behind. And initially when I started Dahlia's book, the idea was to have like a partnership with schools. And then I realized that it would take generations to get school teachers to where we as technology professionals are. So I kind of pivoted from working directly with people, with software engineers like me, to get them to become the teachers for the kids and fill in the gaps that currently exist in the education system.
Excellent. So you get software engineers to teach school children how to code in a nutshell.
And that's basically online.
Oh, online. Okay. So they don't come into the classroom. They stay in their office and they run a class and then they go back to work. Is that the idea?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and do you provide the teachers with the curriculum or do they come up with the curriculum?
We provide them with a curriculum. So when we started, we took open source curriculum from MIT and Harvard Graduate School of Education.
Yeah.
They have very good teaching materials for Scratch, and that's how we started. And then in the last years, a lot of the mentors from the community, they like teaching, and they actually offered to develop lessons for kids. And we have now materials on Python, on C++, and Internet of Things, and machine learning as well. Everything developed by the volunteers in the community.
Exciting. That's very exciting. Sounds like I should have a look at your curricula and maybe take some of the classes myself.
Yeah, we look forward to feedback.
Yeah. So where would this take you in an ideal world? Ideally, where would you be with Dahlia's book? Would that be the only thing you're doing? Would it grow beyond Romania? Where would it go?
So right now it's a side project, and I'm probably going to keep it this way in the following years because it's a not-for-profit, and financially I cannot sustain myself from it right now, but I do want to develop it globally. So I'm thinking of like two ways where this could go. One way is to develop it like a global organization that gets kids into digital education, to give them skills that they need for the jobs that they're going to have. And the other direction is develop an education company, for a for-profit education company for kids, where I could use what I learned from developing the courses in the last 8 years and spin it off into a platform where parents and kids would want to pay to learn.
So similar to Khan's Academy or something like that, or Khan Academy?
I think the Khan Academy is still a nonprofit.
It's still free, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they charge. So it would be something similar. The differentiation between Dahlia's book and Khan Academy is that Khan Academy relies a lot on self-paced classes, while Dahlia's book, we don't have any self-paced classes. Everything is guided with a mentor.
In real time?
In real time, yeah.
Okay, so is there any asynchronous component to Dahlia's book? Like
No.
homework or something like that?
No, we don't even have homework.
Oh, you don't have homework?
No.
I love that because I never used to do my homework.
Exactly. We asked kids, do you want homework? And they said no. And said, okay, we're not going to give you homework if you don't want it.
So everything's contained within the class.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, and kids can, like some kids, they actually also they work on projects by themselves as well. Like there are like very, very passionate kids who do this. A few of them also have YouTube channels where they actually teach other kids how to code. That's great. And they take like the lessons learned from their interaction with the mentors, and they put them on the YouTube channels and share them with others.
Okay, that's great. So, I mean, you've already discussed this to a certain extent, but if you could start again, what would you do? I mean, you've told me about lessons and pivots, but if you could start again and you were starting Dahlia's book for the first time, and it was 10 years ago, what would you do differently?
A lot of things, I think. Yeah, I think that one big thing that I would do differently would be to think of it as something that I do, not something that I am. I think that because of this, in the last years, I kind of maybe took the wrong decisions because I was too emotionally involved. So I thought of Dahlia's book as representing my identity as a person, or my professional identity. And I thought of it, if it's a success, then I'm a success. If it's a failure, then I'm a failure. And that's, I think I've been like through rough times because of that, because when I took decisions that I shouldn't have taken, then I thought, okay, I'm just going to push through it because this is who I am. So I think that I would start with a different approach of, yeah, this is a thing that I do, amongst a lot of other things that I do and I'm good at. So I think if I would look at things from this perspective, then I would be able to take better decisions.
Okay, can you give me an example where your personification of Dahlia's book has impeded its progress?
Yeah, so it's, like sometimes it's a startup, right? And you have to take a lot of very tough decisions. And I think that a very smart decision is choosing the things that you want to do and choosing the things that you want to invest your time in and things that you don't want to invest your time in. So one of the things that where I felt this was when I was just taking like too many things to do because I wanted to develop it further. And I was thinking, okay, so if this doesn't work, then I'm going to have like this other stream that I'm going to test in parallel to see if this works, and then the third stream, and then the fourth stream. And I think that because of that, I put too much pressure on myself because I was afraid of failing. I was just thinking like, if one fails, then there's the other one that's not going to fail. And I think that like, if I'm looking back objectively right now, one thing that would have helped if I would have like a less emotional approach to it would have been the approach of, yeah, I'm investing in one thing, let's see if it works. If it doesn't work, then that's fine, but that doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It's just I failed, and that's fine, because I can just move on to the next thing, right?
Sorry, as far as I know, you haven't received funding. Is that accurate?
That's true. Yes. So it's been always bootstrapped.
So, but bootstrap, but with no revenue source, right? Really? Are the schools paying money to do this or not?
No. So there is a revenue source. When it started, I had a co-founder, and we took a loan from a bank and we purchased 30 iPads. And that was the idea back then, which we're not doing anymore, to teach kids math through digital games. So we purchased 30 iPads and then we distributed it to schools in the city. So that's how it started, and that's what gave us a track record of projects. And then we were able to use that and pitch to tech companies to invest in us. So even if like we didn't take like investment from VCs, we do have corporate partners, and they're the revenue source. So how this developed in time, is in the form of a corporate social responsibility product for tech companies, where everything that we're doing, we're packaging in a project or a sustainability program for them. And besides having the component of teaching kids how to code online, we're also helping tech companies with marketing, brand awareness, employer branding sometimes as well, and other needs like promoting them on social media, for example, showing their logo wherever our logo is, because our network of software engineers is pretty big in Romania. It's like we have over 600 people. And for tech companies, this is very, very useful because they actually get to, they always want to hire the best talent, and they have access to talent through us.
That's great. I love that. So, if you were going to expand Dahlia's book outside Romania, for example, in the US, we have Title I schools. I'm not sure if you know what that means. So a Title I school is where more than, I think, 50% of the children have free school meals, 50 or 60, I can't remember. So those are some of the poorest schools in the United States. Would that be a good market for you to bring Dahlia's book to? And then I sent you this question ahead of time, so I'm hoping you've had a minute to think about it, but I don't know. And how would you go about that? And then how would that look in the US context?
Yeah, I think it will be very similar to what we're doing in Romania, because in Romania, as part of the social responsibility programs that we're implementing for tech companies, most of the kids that we're working with are kids from underprivileged or marginalized communities. It's either like a third of them are from rural areas. So we have right now a bit over 5,000 kids in the network that graduated at least one programming course. A third of them are from rural areas. So in rural areas in Romania, people are not very rich. They're actually very poor, and they don't have a lot of resources. And then another third of these kids are from small towns, where in small towns, like maybe they have like more financial opportunities, but in their local communities, there's nobody to go to their schools and teach them. And then the teachers don't have these skills either. So I think that the marginalized communities, or like the poorer communities in the US, actually are very similar to this. To these communities in Romania, where the approach that we have for them is basically get funding from tech companies, because tech companies want to have an impact, and do either online projects, or mostly online projects if I'm thinking about it, because they're very far away. So being online, it actually enables us to reach even the kids that like maybe it's too far for them to go with the bus or with the subway to get somewhere. And a problem that we had with the kids from rural areas here in Romania was that they did not have access to computers. And for them to be able to participate in our courses, they need to be online in a way, and ideally on a computer. So what we did for these kids, we actually partnered with schools. And we use the school's computer lab, because a lot of the schools have computer labs, even if they don't necessarily use it a lot. We use the school's computer labs and have had school teachers supervise the kids, like in as part of an after-school program, while they learn online. So I think that this would be a good approach for the US as well.
Okay, well, that's something for us to talk about when you get back in October.
Definitely.
I think that covers everything. Do you have any questions, or do you want to have any comments?
I just love what you're doing with your podcast, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, you're most welcome, and I love what you're doing with IT education with kids. It's an area that I've dabbled in. I still do a little bit of teaching kids coding, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. When the penny drops, it's really satisfying to see them go, now I know what you're talking about. that's really great, a great moment. I'm sure you've experienced it many times. So congratulations on on what you're doing so far, and I hope you can bring it here to the US and help some of the neediest kids over here.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Anna, for joining me on the Founders Predicament, and I look forward to meeting you in person.
Me too. Looking
Okay.
forward.
Take care.
Thanks. You too.